Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, and welcome if you are new. Happy New Year. I am determined to make this year great and bring you some delicious and inspiring meals for you. Today I'm bringing you 4 of my favorite meals I made from 2020 that both myself and my family enjoyed. Today's video is in collaboration with a few wonderful channels and ladies. The playlist will be in my description box below, but the host of this video is Sara from Sara's Realm. Her channel is very similar to mine, where she does a lot of cooking, what's for dinner videos, crockpot meals, grocery hauls, and so much more. The information for her channel and her social media will be listed below. The meals I'm sharing with you today are listed here in my description box, and all the videos to each of these meals will be linked below too. So make sure to check out the full videos. Now let's get cooking. So here are the ingredients that you're going to need. Like I said, the recipe will be linked below with all the measurements, but you will need a beef roast, an onion chopped up. I only used one of those cartons of beef broth, but some salt and pepper, some thyme, a bay leaf, garlic powder, rosemary, black peppercorns, and some Worcestershire sauce. So the first thing you need to do is going to combine all your seasonings, and then you are going to rub it on your roast, and I just let it sit for about 10-15 minutes before I put it in the crock pot.
Do you ever feel you don't get out what you're putting in? All your hopes and efforts are all in vain. Who will pick you up?
After letting it sit for about 10-15 minutes, I added 1 carton of the beef broth. I actually added probably a little bit too much broth, but it still turned out delicious. Next, add your onions onto the top of your roast. Add your Worcestershire sauce. I just eyeballed this. Then I added my bay leaves and my peppercorns. Now you're going to cook it low and slow for about 8 hours or longer. Next, you're just going to slice up your onions and your green and red peppers, and then you're not going to put them in until about an hour before your roast is done. So this can be done at a later time.
Work every day. Oh, and if that someone makes you smile and leaves you with a scar, don't let them tell you what you feel.
So for the onions, you are going to cook them on your stovetop, and you're going to cook them for about 30 minutes, low and slow, because you want them to get caramelized and brown and just taste delicious. Once your onions are completely cooked and ready, then you will cook your peppers for about 10 minutes until they are softened. Add your peppers and onions into the crock pot, and then you can shred up your beef so it is easier to place on your buns. After your roast is completely done, put your oven on to broil, and you're going to use these brioche buns that are delicious along with some provolone cheese, and you're going to put it under the broiler and get it all nice and toasty and the cheese brown. The one thing I would have done though first is to toast under the broiler the bun first, just to make the bottom a little bit more crunchy, because it did end up being soggy. Again, because I put too much broth in, but no matter what, they were delicious, and I absolutely love them, and so did my daughter.
Everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I have another Crocktober video for you and recipe. I'm going to be making a creamy chicken tomato soup. So to begin with, these are the ingredients that you're going to need. 1 large onion, some chicken. You can use chicken breast or chicken tenderloins. That's what I have here. Some diced tomatoes, some coconut milk. This is a dairy-free option for a creamy tomato soup. Some chicken broth, some tomato sauce, some green onions. We're going to use the green part of the onion for a topping. And as far as seasonings, you're going to need salt, pepper, red pepper flakes, oregano, parsley, and garlic powder. The thing you're going to need to do is to chop up 1 large yellow onion. So into the crock pot, you're going to want to put your 1 cup of chicken broth, your 8 ounces of your tomato sauce, your 1 can of diced tomatoes, and your coconut milk full fat. And it is solid like this. And yes, I just made a mess. Oh my God. Next, I'm going to try to break up the coconut milk and whisk it up a little bit. Next, you're going to add in your 1 large chopped onion. Next, I'm going to add my seasonings. I'm going to start with 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, a generous palmful of dried parsley. If you have Italian seasoning, you can use that, but I don't, so I'm just going to mix some seasonings together. A little bit of red pepper flakes, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, and 1 teaspoon of oregano. Next, just add in your chicken breasts or your chicken tenderloins. Now you are going to cook this on low for about 6 to 8 hours. For a side with the soup, I'm just going to have a small salad, and I'm just going to top my salad with my toppings and some dressing.
And then with the soup, I'm going to add the green part of the green onions and a little bit of dairy-free mozzarella cheese. So here is the final dish, and I'm going to tell you that this creamy tomato soup was delicious. It definitely has a different flavor because of the coconut milk, but it is a great alternative if you're doing dairy-free or if you're paleo or if you're Whole30 compliant. This is a great dinner for that.
First thing I'm going to do is slice up my peppers. I have an orange and a yellow. You can use green and red, yellow and red, whatever combination you like. I am going to slice up one yellow onion. Actually, I think this is a sweet onion, but you can use yellow too. I'm going to smash about 2 to 3 garlic cloves, and I'm going to juice 4 limes just because I love a lot of lime. If you like less, cut it in half. It's your preference. And then I'm also going to zest 1 lime too. Those onions are strong. I am crying. Oh my goodness.
If I won, don't you just get tired chasing fame and being pretty all the time? Doesn't sound like fun. You can do better. Let me show you what a good time looks like. You can do better, so much better. I don't fit into your box. Beauty queens without no flaws. You can do better. I dare you to be wilder. I don't fit into your box. Beauty queens without no flaws. You can do better. I dare you to be wilder. I want to be silly, baby, dance the night away. I'll kick my shoes off if I want.
Into the crock pot first. I'm going to turn on my crock pot on high because it is already late in the day and I want to get this cooked. So you're going to cook this on low for 3 to 4 hours or on high for 6 to 8. So into the crock pot, I am going to put in my chicken breasts, and there is 1 small and 1 huge. This is almost like 3 chicken breasts. So actually I'm going to cut this in half just so it cooks more evenly.
To your box, beauty queens without no flaws. You can do better. I dare you to be wilder. You can.
So into the crock pot, I am going to add a 1/4 cup of chicken broth. I'm going to start with that, and especially since I'm cooking it on high, I'm going to check the moisture level as it cooks, and if it needs more chicken broth I will add some, but you don't want it too watery. Next you're going to add your lime juice, your salt and pepper. The recipe will be linked down below with all the measurements.
Then I'm gonna add the lime zest. And then on top, I'm just going to layer on the onions and the peppers. These onions and peppers are not necessary, but they just add added nutrition. They bulk up the meal a little bit, and it's going to make the dish look very pretty. And oh, your garlic will be in there too. Again, I leave the garlic kind of whole. I just smash it to release all that good flavor. So next I'm going to make my pico de gallo. I like to make it earlier, not right away, because I like it to kind of marinate along with the lime juice, and then between the salt, drawing out the juices from the tomatoes, it ends up being delicious the longer it sits. So what you're going to need, I usually use Roma tomatoes, but they did not have those today, so they substituted, I did Instacart, so they substituted them with tomatoes on the vine. You're going to need some lime. I'm using 1 today. Some red onion. I like to use red onion over yellow or white onion in my pico. That's just a personal preference. Some garlic, cilantro, and I think I'm going to add that little jalapeno in there also. So when I make my pico, I like to make my tomato and my onion into larger dices, and I also like to de-seed the tomato. I just personally like to take all the seeds out, and then all the rest of this too I like to take out. For me, it just is better to me. But if I would make salsa, I would keep all of that in, because then it all just gets ground up even finer. So with my pico though, I like to take all of that out. My cilantro now. Let me know in the comments below if you like cilantro. A lot of people say, and they tell me that it tastes like cleaning products or something to them, or it has a funny taste. Me, the more cilantro, the better. And also, like I said, I'm chopping this up for my pico, which I'm going to put it in, but you also need it for your chicken. And so I'm going to be cutting up extra. But comment below, let me know if you like cilantro or not. I personally do.
I lost my mind. I will keep on holding my head high, even if the sky is falling down.
Actually, this might just be enough for the pico, so I'm going to have to chop up some more for the top of the chicken when it is done. Tip 2, you can also chop up the stems. They give way more flavor. And when I do that, I usually use the stems when I make my salsa, because I use my food processor and it grinds it up pretty good. I just personally like it better that way. I feel like it incorporates the stems better than whenever I chop it myself. So when I make my pico, I don't include the stems, but when I make my salsa, I do. So I am just going to mix up my pico, and I am going to place a lid on this and stick it in the fridge and let it all marinate together. It's going to be a delicious topping for the chicken for sure.
Sky is falling down, yeah. The sky is falling down.
Okay, now it's going to be time to make the avocado crema. So what you need is 1 avocado, and I am just going to put it in my blender cup. 1 whole avocado. Make sure it is as ripe as possible so it gets nice and creamy. And you saw I just scored it down the center, and I just literally squeeze it right out of the peel into my blender cup. Just like this. Next, you're going to put in a pinch of salt. So about 1/4 teaspoon. 1 tablespoon of lime juice. This is going to be a very limey recipe. 1 tablespoon of olive oil. Just like that. And for the creaminess, you're going to do full fat coconut milk, about 1/4 cup. Make sure that you shake this up very good. You want to make sure that everything is well combined inside before you pour it into your avocado mixture. So we'll do 1/4 cup. And next, we're just going to blend this all up. Had to add about another 1/4 cup of the coconut milk. Oh, it's not coming off. And the other half of the lime to make about 2 tablespoons of lime juice in there, and a little bit more salt. The avocado, I guess, was a little bit bigger than normal that I make. So I just wanted to let you know that I did add a little bit more. You might have to adjust depending on how big your avocado is. Okay, it gets all foggy because I just let out all the steam, but it looks like the chicken is done. I'm not going to shred it completely. I'm going to keep mine in bigger pieces because, again, for the side I'm making that risotto. You can put this over rice. You can make this into fajitas, into tacos, anything like that. Fajita bowls, burrito bowls. I mean, this would be delicious anyway. So I am just going to leave them into bigger chunks like that, and I am going to start my risotto. So I just realized this is asparagus risotto, but that's okay. I mean how much asparagus really is in there? Probably just has a little bit of flavor, but that's okay. So just cook your risotto according to the directions on the packet. Okay, so I'm gonna taste it. Here it is. Doesn't it look delicious? I mean, I added a little bit more juice because the chicken, I wanted it to be moist, but the crema, so good.
I mean, you can make it with sour cream also, like traditional crema, but the coconut milk makes it so creamy. And my pico is so good. I'm gonna try the chicken. Delicious. The flavors are so, excuse me, so good. This is delicious. Make sure you try out this meal. It's super simple, super easy. Obviously, you just saw how easy it was. I mean, you do have to make the crema, you do have to make the pico, but once you get it all put together, it is absolutely worth it. So thank you, everyone. So for this soup, I'm making a lemon and garlic wild rice soup. So what you're gonna need is 1 tablespoon of some coconut oil. You're gonna need some vegetable or chicken broth. So I made some vegetable broth the other day. If I don't have enough, which it calls for, I think 4 cups, then I'll just use a little bit of this chicken broth in. That doesn't bother me. Some wild rice, some half and half. I'm going to use my creamy oat milk and coconut milk, half and half. Some spinach, a half of an onion, and it calls for Italian seasoning. I don't have Italian seasoning, so I just made my own and added the salt and pepper in here. 2 carrots, 3 celery stalks, and 1 lemon. You're going to juice the lemon, and you're also going to use the lemon rind, the zest of the lemon. First thing you're going to do is put 1 tablespoon of oil in the bottom of your pan. Again, I'm using coconut oil. And I'm going to turn my stovetop on to about medium-high heat. And then once the oil warms up, I'm going to cook the vegetables for about 5 minutes. Also, just so you know, I saved my scraps for making vegetable broth and or chicken broth. I want to make a video and show you how I make my bone broth. So I'm definitely going to be saving these. All you have to do is put this in a Ziploc bag, put it in your freezer, and then when you're ready to use it, take it out. After 5 minutes, put in your lemon zest and then cook it for another 2. Next, you're going to add in half a cup of your rice, whatever rice that you like, and then 4 cups of vegetable or chicken broth. This does have 3 cups of my homemade vegetable and chicken broth, and then 1 cup of store-bought because I ran out. So I'm going to turn the heat up to high, bring this to a boil, and then once it starts boiling, I'm going to turn it down to simmer and let it simmer between 30 and 40 minutes. And if you're like me, you always forget something. Here are my seasonings. I'm going to put that in before it starts to boil. Broth has come to a boil. I am going to turn it down to simmer, so like medium-high heat, and then I am, of course, don't have a proper lid, but I am going to put this lid on and let it simmer for about 30 to 40 minutes. So I actually had to cook the soup about 10 minutes longer. The rice was not done, but it looks so good already. And I also had to add a little bit more chicken broth because it did evaporate. But now this soup is almost done. All you do is put in your 1/4 of a cup of lemon juice. I'm putting in my half and half.
And I'm just going to stir that in, make sure it's well combined. And then I'm going to add in about a cup of fresh spinach.